Normalizing plastic surgery was a scam, fam. Specifically, normalizing multiple plastic surgeries. Let me be clear, it is someone's God-given right to look like a walking funhouse mirror, but the more I see it, the more I've realized that mainstream beauty standards, which, let's be real, were trash garbaggio to begin with, these beauty standards have reached an uncanny valley. Possibly a point of no return. Hey, hi, and hello, it's your girl T, aka Nappy Headed Jojoba, not Nappy, not Jojoba, Nappy Headed Jojoba. It's like He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. You have to say the whole thing, and I'm coming at you today with a tea talk, digging into what will very possibly be an unpopular opinion. I think we've gotten to a very strange place, not only in social media aesthetics, but in real life. I will caveat that I'm in LA, so the prevalence of IRL excessive plastic surgery, which I now call the botched aesthetic that I see here, may not be the same for you in your area. Either way, plastic surgery face and plastic surgery body abounds on social media regardless of where you live. When I say plastic surgery, I'm using that as an umbrella term for any fully elective cosmetic enhancement. So I'm including things like such as filler, Botox, them thread facelift things, etc. that are not in any event medically necessary. So I'm not talking about reconstructive plastic surgeries for people who have had accidents or injuries or people needing surgery for whatever medically therapeutic situations. As you all know, I am not a doctor, but I have heard of them. So I even catch myself trying to guess what some public figure or another has had done when they come back from a hiatus looking different. I'll be looking at a red carpet photo talking about, I'm seeing lip filler, buccal fat removal, and based on the scleral show in this photo, I'm thinking a ponytail facelift. Shout out to Lori Hill, because I think her channel and some others like it have demystified what famous people are actually doing to look the way they do and brought things back down to earth, which honestly has become pretty important since these people love to play in our faces and lie about it. Getting plastic surgery is a personal choice, but personal choices don't always get to stay personal when you've chosen to be in the public eye. I do think it's human to feel some type of way about personal information just being out there, famous or not, which is why I want to introduce y'all to today's sponsor, Aura. Googling yourself can be a truly frightening experience. If you've never done it, you might be appalled to see what's out there when you search your own name. Data is an entire industry, and companies are capitalizing on selling your information, like your address, your phone number, and worse, which is probably why you keep getting all them annoying spam calls talking about, this is your last chance to extend your car warranty. Linda, you said it was my last chance 8 robocalls ago. Aura can find the data brokers selling your personal information and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, which these brokers have to do by law once you tell them to, by the way. So why not just let Aura do it for you? Hit up my link to get 2 free weeks to try Aura and get a multi-pronged approach to protecting your information. You get a VPN, antivirus protection, parental controls, password management, and identity theft insurance, which saves you from having to download 5011 apps to do all them things separately, and it saves you money by getting it all in one place. So if you are like me and you are not the biggest fan of randos profiting off of selling your private info, head to aura.com/nappyheadjojoba. It is linked in the D box, and start your 14-day free trial. Thanks, Aura. What remains personal and what becomes public isn't always up to you when you're a public figure, particularly when we're literally talking about a celebrity's face in their latest red carpet appearance or some influencer in their newest social media post. Not you too, Zach. You were my favorite Disney princess. I imagine a person would lie about getting work done because said person feels like she loses something by admitting she, in fact, was not born with it, and it damn sure ain't Maybelline Neva. So I get it intellectually, I just don't get it ethically or even practically. I mean, we can see y'all. And 9 times out of 9, celebrities, influencers, all of them sought their fame, which means they sought a life where they would be subject to public scrutiny. You can deny all you want, but unless you scrub the internet somehow, people are going to be able to before and after your ass easily. Going under the knife and getting this filled or those nipped or that tucked, it used to be tied to status. Used to be Botox was low-key on par with Balmain. It was only wealthy celebrities or generally wealthy people who had the access and means to get plastic surgery. And it was much more hush-hush, relegated to the rumor mill with whispers of did she or didn't she, except in cases where someone was obviously botched. In other words, the goal of the work was to not look like you had any work. We would all just wonder how these people look the way that they look, and then they would give us some claptrap about how it's thanks to sashimi and Pilates. Now though, People are fine with looking like they've had work. More than fine. Obvious plastic surgery is now an aesthetic in and of itself. Much like with technology, as time has gone on, procedures have become more and more accessible to us plebes, as have the dangerous budget offerings that often come with life-threatening circumstances and life-threatening materials administered by people who are definitely not qualified to be doing any of this. Setting aside that they've been rendered obsolete by streaming, it used to be a wealth signifier to have something like a Blu-ray player, or before that, a digital video disc player. Then they got cheaper over time and everyone had them. A similar thing has happened with plastic surgery. By no means is surgery cheap if you go to a reputable doctor, especially if you lived in the ghetto, aka the US of A, where a lot of us don't have healthcare in the first place. And even if you do, plastic surgery is at best partially covered and more than likely not covered at all. But I think it's fair to say that due to there now being more plastic surgeons, more facilities, things like financing, the list goes on, getting plastic surgery has become way more commonplace among the 99% than it was as few as 10 years ago. This increased accessibility has happened more or less in lockstep with the increased prevalence of social media. With the rise of Instagram face and Instagram body, beauty standards became homogenized in a way I don't think we've ever seen before. And part of achieving today's version of homogeneity often means going under the knife to achieve damn near impossible to have naturally type of proportions. With this normalization is such a weird word. Anyway, normalization of surgery face and surgery body also brings with it the expectation that no matter how obviously botched a person becomes, let alone the risks associated with these procedures, plenty of people have died, we're expected to yes queen, slay queen, no matter how crazy they look. All that work and still hit. Wow. What's that like? Bring back body shaming. Kidding. I am kidding. Then again, there are folks who genuinely think some of this work looks good and not at all severely crazy, which is starting to make me feel like I'm in an alternate reality. I am more and more grateful every year that passes that I didn't grow up with Instagram or TikTok or any of this, because it was hard enough growing up with movies, TV, magazines, all that, perpetuating standards that were designed to exclude me. Nowadays, we have dinosaur media still running that same play along with social media. And to quote my niece, being a teenager today is chaotic. Seems like when it comes to models, actors, influencers, plastic surgery at younger and younger ages is almost expected. And I can't think of a better way than this to foment a lifelong struggle with self-image and insecurity. People who aren't even done growing up yet are getting nose jobs. People in their 20s are getting facelifts and Botox, all to have the look of the it girls of the week. Gag is, they don't even look like that. Not in real life. Once you add in the filters, the Photoshop, and the Facetune on top of the surgery, they lying on a lie. And they got no creep to them whatsoever. Half these people look like a damn Microsoft Paint illustration by the time they actually post. Even more than normalizing surgery, people have normalized lying about obvious surgery. Back in the days of only the rich and famous getting work, it was kind of a don't ask, don't tell type of situation. When it came to traditional media, Conan O'Brien or whoever damn sure wasn't going to ask his guests about their latest procedures. Imagine Conan or Letterman or one of them asking, who are the kids into these days? Harvey Keitel? Imagine Conan asking Harvey Keitel about his eye job or something like this. It ain't happening. But A-list celebrities and influencers ain't the same thing. The relationship, however parasocial it may be, between followers and the influencers they follow is a lot more direct with social media. Not only has access to surgery changed, the access to records of what people used to look like has also changed, right along with the public's access to them directly to question them about whether they've had something done. So long as they keep their comments open, which means that yes, there are going to be comments when they pop up with changes. Changes that can't realistically be attributed to basic aging, makeup, weight gain, or weight loss. I mean, I don't be saying nothing to them when I clock it, but I definitely be in them comments with my opera glasses, child. Some of these gurus are clever about sneaking in that work. You know, they bank pre-shot content before they get their upgrade so that they can still post at the normal pace while they convalesce. Then one day, bam, they're back with a new nose and new chi-chis. Don't you dare say anything about that schnoz of them chi-chis. We all just gonna pretend we don't notice Miss Thing went from a B cup last week to being strangled by her own cleavage today, okay? Because otherwise, you're a hater. It keeps coming back to this gray area of public figures who become known for their appearance and becoming recognizable to whatever degree, but who then want privacy when people notice them starting to become unrecognizable. Fitness influencers are some of the worst offenders because they'll tag Gymshark on the post all day when who they should have tagged was their doctor. They really out here getting their abs etched and then hashtagging abs are made in the kitchen while also plugging their new limited edition lavender lemonade protein powder collab. F out of here, we're exhausted. Even while they are still being public figures, I don't believe explanations on why they look totally different now are owed to anyone per se, except maybe explaining to your kids that they don't look like you because they look like your V1 face. My wish is, please just don't play in the public's faces. If you're drawing a boundary on addressing the elephant in the room, commit to ignoring the questions and comments full stop rather than lying in response. It is delusional to think that people aren't going to clock drastic changes in your appearance, let alone to think you can gaslight them about what's as plain as day. One of the most annoying gaslighting strategies I see is influencers, and celebrities do this too, admitting to one thing they did, but none of the other things. It's like plastic surgery whack-a-mole. Someone will cop to, say, lip filler, but nothing else. Like we're all just supposed to pretend that we don't see that you look like a CGI rendering of your former self. I remember more than one of the gurus I used to watch getting extremely clockable work done, lying about not having had said work for months, in some cases years, only to eventually admit to the aforementioned work, all while their brands, more than some of the time, were about preaching self-love and acceptance just the way you already are. Some public figures have been open about what they've had done, possibly because the work is so blatant they look even dumber trying to lie about it, but I hope that kind of transparency can become the rule and not the exception, along with sharing the risks and challenges. If you're gonna rotate surgeons like you rotate tires, I appreciate the folks who are at least honest about it. Because the alternative, all of this plastic surgery and then lying about it, really has me concerned for where things are going to go with young people, especially naive young people, and their perceptions of reality. I've been seeing people who I followed and even some people who I didn't become unrecognizable behind fillers and surgeries in recent years, and it makes me sad for them because it's one thing to address something that has maybe always bothered you, but what I'm seeing in these streets, both analog and online, is beyond this. I'll confess, and maybe I've been in LA too long. Actually, I know I've been in LA too long, but I feel the pressure here and there too, like maybe it's time to Botox my labia. However, to be in the doctor's office so much that you start to morph into a different person over time is like wearing profound insecurity and self-hatred on your face. It's startling to see what some people I followed years ago look like today. Because of the lapse in time and me not really checking for them in between, it's very easy to see how drastic it is. I remember them one way, and now they look this way. And to see this on people who are only in their 20s and 30s, I'm sure there will be the usual comments about,
why do you even care what someone else does to their body?
I already said it makes me sad for them. I'm not gonna lie and say that I don't care. And I think about the ripple effect that this is going to have on people and on our culture. And yeah, I'm indeed concerned with what other people are doing with their bodies when it comes to this. You got me. In holistic health circles, here comes hippie TT, there's a saying, don't treat the symptom, treat the disease. In other words, say you're struggling with chronic fatigue. Rather than just having caffeine, which is in fact a drug which will only delay your feelings of fatigue temporarily, it is far better to identify and treat what is actually causing your fatigue symptom, your dis-ease, so that you won't need the caffeine at all. Getting surgery after procedure, after injection, after revision is treating the symptom and not the illness. Body dysmorphia, facial dysmorphia, to me, these can only be exacerbated by plastic surgery in most cases. Maybe before calling Dr. Miami, we should normalize getting to the root of who taught you to hate yourself. Just the other day, my friend Mickey, hey Fran, I know she's watching, she shared this video of this beautiful woman. I think her name is Nolu. The video is called Being Ugly in South Korea. I'll link it below and in a card on screen. And it was such a wild video to me because the second I laid eyes on her, I was just like, wow, she's so beautiful. But in the video, she discusses how all of her life, and especially now that she lives in South Korea, she's been told that she's ugly. For being too dark, for her lips being too big, for being too skinny, you name it. And we all know why that kind of messaging has been so prevalent in her life, and not only in Korea. We know why she's heard these things all of her life. This woman is gorgeous, so it's ridiculous to me that she could go anywhere in the world and be told she's ugly. But again, we all know why this is happening. The personal growth is what I loved about her video the most. She's doing the work, as they say, to externalize all of that messaging that she's been fed, putting down that baggage because it doesn't belong to her, and letting go of thinking that she needs to have surgeries like getting her lips reduced. She's finally seeing reality, which means she's finally seeing how lovely she is inside and out. For real, can we normalize this? Risks aside, of course people of sound mind should be free to alter their bodies permanently as many times as they wish if that's what they want to do. If achieving the tooth aesthetic is the only thing that will bring someone peace, then they have that right. My hope is, in the broad mainstream sense of how we cultivate and celebrate aesthetic and the ever-moving goalposts of the beauty standard, maybe surgery can become the last resort instead of the first. Maybe we push back on the notion that plastic is goals, and at least normalize making something other than getting sliced and diced plan A in the pursuit of real self-acceptance. Because at this point, normalizing multiple surgeries and this whole plastic surgery boom has done nothing except find another way to capitalize on people's unhappiness. I have talked enough today, and I'm not trying to go all kumbaya on y'all, so I'm gonna normalize wrapping up this tea talk. You are the realest of the real for hanging out with me all the way through this rant, and I see you, baby. This seems like as good a time as any to drop in my obligatory self-promotion to check me out on Patreon or Locals, either or, whichever interface you prefer, because y'all only see me here and there here on YouTube, but I upload and do live streams all the time on those platforms. Don't forget to stay safe, stay dangerous, and never trust anyone who tells you to love yourself the way God made you. Meanwhile, they're already halfway through their punch card to get the 10th BBL free at the doctor's. Bah!
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm gonna tell you that now.